1, 2, 3. Come on!
Well, I haven't had a day off yet. Sneak into Chinatown for a bit of yum cha. Too young for the job then, not experienced enough. So we want to win the World Cup. We want to be number one.
A journey that's taken him from Australia to South Africa to Japan and to England, and now he is home once again.
I don't tend to miss things. Wherever I go, I've been lucky enough, to coach in a number of different places. And when you're in, England the last 7 years, you want to enjoy what's there. And but then when you get back to Australia, you see the lifestyle that people have, and it's easy to fit back in. Yeah, the beaches are always a massive attraction, and I'm from around the Coogee area, so we've settled back into there. But no, it's been great fun, mate, getting out to Narrabri, Griffith, getting out to see the rugby in the country areas. Great opportunities, a lot of enthusiasm, so yeah, it's been very exciting.
And Eddie Jones himself, a former front rower.
Yeah, it was rugby league at La Perouse Public. My mother wouldn't let me play until I was 10 years old because she was Japanese and didn't like the physical contact of rugby league. So when I got to play, it was all a fantastic experience to play a collision sport and loved the game straight away. Well, it was just a change of school. We played league at the primary school, and then we went to high school. It was rugby. And we had this fantastic PE teacher, Jeff Mould, who instilled this love of rugby. We played touch football all the time. It was all about ball movement, beating the opposition with ball movement. So we had a good team and it was great fun to play. I was a small player, not very fast, so I had to develop some thinking skills about the game, managed to be able to find a way to play as a small hooker, and was playing in a very good team, which helped.
Eddie Jones is very good at giving players that skill set amongst all of the uncertainty of professional sport.
Coaching was actually a result of me being dropped as a player, so I was the New South Wales hooker and the Randwick hooker. The Australian coach picked out the reserve grade Randwick hooker, Phil Kearns, who ended up being one of the greats of Australian rugby, ahead of me, so I dropped down to second grade, and when I got down to second grade, the coach, who was a mate of mine, said, you can help doing a bit of coaching. So I helped, and we ended up winning the comp. So I thought I might give this a go. And then the game went professional 2 years later. So I took myself off to Japan and coached professionally at a university, not with much success, but that was the start of the career, and it's ended up being a lot of fun and a lot of enjoyment. When I first started coaching, it was always about trying to help the players, being a servant to the players. I coached in Japan for a year, then I came back and coached the Brumbies, and then coaching the Brumbies and having success, then you start thinking about, well, it'd be fantastic to coach at the international level. And I was offered the job at the Wallabies at the age of 41. Now when I look back, I feel like I was too young for the job then, not experienced enough. But having coached Australia to a World Cup final in a home tournament was a great experience, and to have another opportunity now is even better.
And Eddie Jones sports the biggest grin of 2003.
Well, I love the process of developing the team for that World Cup final. We had a ordinary Tri-Nations. We got beaten by 50 points by New Zealand, and we knew we were due to play them in the semi-final of the World Cup, so we had a really concentrated preparation, focusing on getting much fitter, focusing on our defence and making sure we had a good goal kicker. And so we beat New Zealand in the semi-final, and then we're set up for that final. The final was a game where we had opportunities to win it, but in reality England were probably too good for us on that day. But I was pleased how the players fought so hard for 100 minutes and took England right to the wire. I think I was very proud of being part of an Australian team that really captured the greatness of Australian sport and how the Australian country gets behind the team when a team like the Wallabies is doing well. I feel humbled to be given the honour to coach Australia again. I never thought it would happen. Australian rugby's been through quite a difficult phase, and to have an opportunity to try to resurrect the Wallabies and Australian rugby is a great honour, and one which I take obviously of the highest seriousness.
The Wallabies v the All Blacks. It's time to do it once more.
I've got the dubious honour of being the last coach to win the Bledisloe Cup, and also to be the coach to lose the Bledisloe Cup. You know, apart from the World Cup, it's the ultimate trophy. You know, they're across the ditch. They're our closest rivals. They're the biggest team in world rugby. You know, they've got the highest winning percentage. We're a team that's always got to battle, always got to play above ourselves. So to win the Bledisloe Cup would be a huge honour. Well, there's a tactical part of the game which is always important. You know, New Zealand like to play the game out on the, you know, in Aussie rules terms, out on the flanks. And we've got to make sure we play through the corridor so we keep the game nice and tight. And then there's the emotional and physical part of it. It's a game where you've got to play every moment as though it's the last moment of the game. The great thing about New Zealand rugby teams is they are never beaten. You can beat them, but they're never beaten. They keep coming back. And to beat them on the scoreboard, you've got to be in every play. To come here to play the first game of the Bledisloe Cup at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and it might be the only ground in the world where a team has a winning percentage over the All Blacks. Yeah, we've got a good feeling here. The Melbourne public gets behind us. We get 100,000 people here. You know, cramming to see the Wallabies play will be a great occasion.
Those who are bold enough to wear gold are on their feet at the MCG.
It's one of the great stadiums of the world. You know, if you think about AFL Grand Finals, you know, State of Origin games that have been here, Wallaby Test matches that have been here. You know, it's the home of some of the greatest sporting moments in Australian sport and definitely in world sport. I'm an avid cricket fan. You know, any Boxing Day test for me has always been the occasion that, you know, after Christmas you just couldn't wait for that to happen. You know, and I always remember in the days of the 70s when Dennis Lilly and Jeff Thompson were opening attack, to see Lilly come off the long run, his hair flowing in the wind, and, you know, he'd be ripping into the batsmen, whoever they were. I've never been to one, which is something I have to do, but it's always been on television. My father, who was born in Williamstown, which is not far from here, we'd always sit down and watch those Boxing Day tests. Being from Sydney, you know, we've always seen Melbourne as the rival city, and just walking down here today from the city, you know, the cultural mix of the city, the mix of very trendy, arty cafes, museums. Then you have these iconic sporting events, all within a 15-minute walk of the city, is quite unique. My mother's Japanese, and as I said, my father's born in Williamstown. This is one of the first places they lived when they came back to Australia, and they always used to go to Chinatown. So I always try to go to Chinatown here, and I went there last night and had a meal, which was good fun. I think we had a bit of steamed dumplings, a bit of fried rice, nothing too exotic, a bit of calamari. I'm a big fan of the Bulldogs. You know, again, my father was from Williamstown, so he used to follow Footscray, which had become the Western Bulldogs. And I know Luke Beveridge reasonably well, so I've got a Bulldog heart in there somewhere. I reckon the big fella at the West Coast Eagles, the ruckman, could be all right. He could be pretty handy. And the other guy I really like is, he used to be the Demons captain, Viney. He's a tough little player. He'd be a fantastic flanker. Kicking wise, I don't think anyone would get a kick in AFL, but definitely Vinavalu on the wing takes the ball beautifully above his head, might get a run in the left back pocket, and maybe Hodge is a big tall fella.
For them it is now do or die.
20 teams go to the World Cup and only one team's successful, and that's the team that takes the gold medal. So we want to win the World Cup. We've definitely got the talent to win the World Cup, definitely got the talent to win the World Cup. But we've got to put talented players together to play like a team, to fight like a team, to fight like Australia. And so that's the challenge ahead. You know, there's a lot of goodwill around Australian rugby. I think we're ranked 5th in terms of the Australian sporting teams. We want to be number 1. You know, we want to be the team that everyone wants to follow. Everyone's got a Wallaby scarf. Everyone talks about watching the World Cup final. Everyone talks with pride of how the Wallabies play.